Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Napoleon and today we're back with another Enlisted video. In this Enlisted video, we're going to be doing what is on the next campaign, or what Enlisted is going to be doing next for their next campaign. And with always, this video has been made possible for friends at Discord, meaning that if you haven't liked, subscribe, or joined Discord, I highly suggest that you do. We're almost at 1K, so keep it up, we're almost there. That said, let's get started with what is Enlisted next campaign. The first one we have to look at is what are some good campaign suggestions, and obviously I have done a lot of videos on that, so that's not a really big issue. But in terms of what Enlisted has covered, well, there's a lot. You see, in terms of time period, Moscow is between 1941 and 1942. Tunisia is between 1942 and 1943. Stalingrad is in pretty much the same category, and Normandy is 1944 with Berlin in 1945. As of right now, we do not have a reason for the Pacific, considering the fact that the Pacific is quote-unquote the Pacific War, so that's going to be interesting. In terms of factions, we have the USSR multiple times, the Germans, the United States, the British, the Italians, and Japan, which has been recently added, so that's going to be interesting. Now, the big question is, everyone's going to be asking me, what are some campaigns that could be suggested? Well, that really depends on where Enlisted goes. For one, they could go to Europe and Asia. For Europe, it's probably going to be the French campaign of 1940, since Enlisted has included some French units and has given French voice lines, so it's going to be their next most logical step for another campaign. On the other hand, it could be definitely the Greco-Italian War of 1941 or any Balkans campaign, considering the fact that Italy is in the game. And you can easily just add the Italians in a different set of uniforms, and that will be fine. For Asia, Enlisted could be doing another Asian campaign, which has a lot of downsides. As a matter of fact, I would consider another Asian campaign to be wonders. For example, the first one is going to be the Chinese campaign, hopefully in 1939, since we don't really have an early war campaign Enlisted, and that's going to be fun. Or Burma in 1943, 1944, and the reason why I chose these two campaigns is because they have the most interesting stuff, and they have the most interesting knowledge of which you can deploy, and your troops, they're not going to be uninteresting campaigns, is my point. But needless to say, I've made videos on both of these. I've even made a video on the French and a Greco-Italian War and a Balkans campaign, so those are going to be episodes that you should really watch on my channel. But that said, let's move on of what do I personally prefer for a campaign. Now, the big question is what do I prefer for a campaign? Honestly, I prefer a Chinese campaign, and the reason is simply because I really like to have a lot of new factions, and considering the fact that China, once again, if you haven't been watching my video on China during the Second World War, China participated a lot during the Second World War, which is amazing. As a matter of fact, I would actually prefer a Chinese campaign, not only because it is completely unique, but it's actually quite underrepresented in games, and that's going to be a good thing. Not to mention the fact that balancing is going to be way easier. But that said, what is Enlisted going to do? And that is the $100 question, considering the fact that even though we can argue for campaigns like China, Greece, France, Enlisted is probably going to be doing something very different, or by any chance of imagination, we're going to be head on. For example, what is Enlisted going to do? I don't know, because I'm not Enlisted and I'm not the board of Enlisted committees or somewhere, or the gods of Enlisted something. But my most highly likely suggestion is France. First of all, the French have a lot of things going for them. For one, they literally have their voice lines. A lot of French weapons are actually in-game, surprisingly. And there's a lot of French units in the campaign. For one, we have the MAS 36, which is a rifle for the French, which actually, looking at how the Japanese were added in, then you can really see the parallels. For example, the Japanese have the Arasaka 38, and the French have the MAS 36. So that's going to be interesting when they add the French campaign, which, let's be honest, the French campaign is not a bad idea, albeit I rather do prefer other campaigns over the French campaign. But a 1940 French campaign is going to be quite interesting. Other examples of why Enlisted might add France is because, one, the voice lines and the almost overabundance of French units. For example, in the Battle of Berlin, you have the Charlemagne division, and in the Battle of Tunisia, you have the Moroccan auxiliaries, which are French with French voice lines, which are going to be very cool if they add the French. Obviously, I have suggested my own suggestions about the French, and I really am looking forward to such campaigns in the Far East, such as China or the Burma campaign. But from what it seems, if Enlisted is continuing to go down the European path, which it might just might go. For last time I remember, after the release of Tunisia, they did do Stalingrad, so that's going to be more focused on European front, and we might never know. Is Enlisted going to go back to the European front after the Pacific front, which is not an impossibility, but hopefully Enlisted does something in Asia. But that said, that is all it for this video, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join the Discord, and I'll see you in the next one. Now before you leave, I would like to thank you very much for watching this video. I would be honored if you could like and subscribe to the channel. Remember, more videos are coming out, so it is a good idea to click on that notification button. Anyways, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.